Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of the Young Black Suburban. Every now and then on our show we get someone who, not to say that you're not doing things in your life, but I have you on my show just because we've had conversations before. And I was like, man, this guy needs to talk to more people and get his way of life out there. So I have on my podcast today Josh Sabia. How you doing, Josh?
Doing good, brother. It's a pleasure to be on here. This is my first time doing a podcast. I'm really excited. I've been wanting to do one for a while now. I'm excited to be on here. I'm grateful. I don't know. Where do you want to take it?
So, for me, what was interesting about you, I noticed right away that you have a holistic approach about life. You're not really about putting certain things into your body. I think I smell patchouli on you.
I do have patchouli on me. Yes, I do.
I think I smell patchouli on you. So, and we started touching on different things. Like we even talked about, when we're going to get into that today, hallucinogenics and things like that.
Absolutely.
When did you start on the path of having a more holistic approach of life?
So I just turned 31, and I would say my early 20s is when I really started to question things and, feel through to things deeper. I've experienced certain people in my family who experienced declining health, or family members who passed away at an early age. And that really kind of had me take a step back and see, okay, I didn't feel right. The human body isn't designed to go out that early. Something's not right.
Right.
So it allowed me to kind of dig deep and search and research and figure things out through trial and error and through experience to really get to the bottom of, ways to be able to optimize your health, optimize your mind, not just your physical nature, which is important, but what I like to personally be, I'm a big advocate of mind, body, and soul, and that trine. I believe that's holy, and I believe that when you're in alignment with all three of them, that wherever life takes you, whatever your experiences are, things are going to just balance out, and you're going to be able to find ease, and I guess you could say bloom wherever you're planted. But yeah, it really had a lot to do with family members and people that I experienced that had porous health at a time where I feel like they shouldn't have had. I started researching more. I started eating more fruits and vegetables.
Was there a specific thing that was like, okay, I'm not gonna do this that way anymore. Now it's time to cross over and make this a lifestyle? Was there a specific?
No, it's really just been a process and a journey where I feel like I've been leveling up piece by piece. Just learning. I mean, life is a journey. You learn things on the fly.
Right.
We try to act like we're all masters and we haven't figured out, but we're really just collecting data and bits and pieces and trying to put it all together. And that's really just what I've been doing the last 10 years of my life. I've tried all types of diets. I've tried bits and pieces of the ketogenic diet, bits and pieces of, going vegetarian for short periods of time, cutting out dairy. And so pretty much what I've come to full circle when it comes to diets, a lot of it really just has to do with keeping your insulin levels in check, and staying away from processed foods, genetically modified foods. I was explaining to him prior.
Him is Jordan, our producer.
Yes, our producer right behind him. Yeah.
Puts the show together.
I was explaining to Jordan earlier about how I'm a huge advocate of understanding like the cellular level. Mm-hmm. So getting down to like your mitochondria and these energetic pathways in our body and how they get stimulated when you eat certain functioning foods, particularly like fruits. Of course, certain vegetables too, but to me, vegetables are more of like a cleansing mechanism. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just trying to figure out ways to stimulate my body and keep my body, mind, and soul sharp. But yeah, it's not one specific thing. It's each thing leading me to another thing.
Right. Like you hear a lot of people talk about things like, I think you mentioned just now. Anyway, it brought to my mind people talking about pH balances, or you were talking about insulin levels and things like that. Have you studied things like having the perfect pH balance in your body and alkalines and
I've looked into like understanding like the pH level. What I've gotten recently is that, as important as that may seem at a first glance, I know there are certain foods and certain beverages and things that we consume that may be of a lower acidity. Like I know like apple cider vinegar is like, very acidic. So you would think at a first glance, if I'm consuming this, it's going to make me, it's going to lower my vibration, or it's going to make my body more acidic in nature. But what people don't understand is that something like that could be used as a cleansing mechanism. Now, I'm not saying apple cider vinegar is some, holy grail or something that we should be consuming. I'm just using that as an example.
Right.
But yeah, the pH level to me isn't as important. Like I said, I really believe it's mostly about your cellular activity, how your cells interact with one another.
Right.
And I know fruit especially, I'm a huge advocate of fruit, especially like berries, grapes, things of that nature. The cellular activity and the cellular response that you get from consuming these foods, especially if they're, organics, straight off the vine, you're going to get a huge response, electromagnetically within your body that's going to stimulate all types of currents and allow your body to function clearer and smoother. It's going to allow your body to detox and purge out some toxins and chemical compounds that are stored inside of your body. It's going to allow your liver and your kidneys and your pancreas and these other organs in our body to help function clearer and smoother and operate together in unison. So
right. And how do you get the regular person? I don't know if you've ever done this or not. I'm going to ask you later about like your friends and your relationships.
Absolutely, yeah.
And your lifestyle. But you're talking about eating non-genetically modified food and all that. It's everywhere around us.
It is.
It took me a little bit to get here because my food was probably genetically modified. and you know what? It was. It's home cooked food.
Yeah.
But the grocery stores are not really selling us the best products.
It is.
How do you get someone like me, someone that really doesn't care about his diet anymore, because I'm retired, to get on that path? Where would I go first to get, non-GMO food?
I mean, we have local markets. We have, obviously there's Whole Foods. Like I have family in the Cherry Hill area. That's where I'm from, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. There's all types of, like I mentioned, you have Whole Foods, there's Sprouts, there's Mom's Organics. So just right off the bat, you have those three locations. You have a Wegmans there. So it depends on the location, the area. You have to do a little bit of research, look it up yourself. But there's always, when there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
If something means that much to someone, they'll find a way to get to that place, get to that location. Like for example, again, I was explaining to Jordan earlier. I have 3 gallons of these that I fill up in these glass containers, this is fresh spring water that I get straight from a farm. They have a well, and it's linked up, and it's linked up to a faucet, filtered through, and for $1 a gallon, I get myself 3 of these, and it lasts me roughly almost a week.
You get 3 of those for $1?
Yeah, so for $3, I mean, the glass itself, this is like $10, $15 give or take. But once you invest into that, you're looking at, depending on how much water you drink, what you're eating, how much you need to stay hydrated, how active you are. For $3 a week, you're getting fresh quality earth water. So
see, if it was me, that'd be filled with beer. I'd be taking that and filling it with beer,
But no, I was gonna say it really comes down to your priorities, like what's important to you. Like for me, you could say it's naturally ingrained in me, but my health is very important. You could say it's somewhat of a traumatizing factor as a result of seeing family members and their poorest health.
Yeah.
That may have lit a fuse inside of me. So it's for me, it's like seeing a negative being around a negative, and then using that as fuel to my fire to invert that and reverse it and turn it into a positive. But yeah, health, as a result of what I've experienced and what I've seen, has become very important to me. Not only that, not just from what I've experienced, but just also my own personal experiences within myself. I know when I consume certain foods or when I drink certain things, I feel better. My mind is clearer. Right. I'm more fluent. I process information in my mind a lot better. Right. I feel more stimulated. I feel more on top of the world, and I feel more productive. Like I'm a better human being when I eat healthy. Right. Now, it shouldn't be a chore, and at times it may seem like a chore, but at the same time, you could say that about anything. Like, you operate and run your own business here. Yeah. You know, you love to help people. You love boxing. Yeah. You know, but part of the territory, you know, of running the business, it may seem like a chore. You know, it may seem impeding upon certain aspects of your life.
Being disciplined.
Well, exactly. It's discipline. That's the best way to summarize it. So there's certain things where it might be a pain in the butt sometimes, but whether it's running a business and, you know, eating healthy, you know, whatever it is, you know, that you're building up within yourself, that's going to either help put more money in your pocket, make you a better human being, allow you to help other human beings. There is some level of sacrifice and discipline that comes, you know, into the game. And it's rewarding. Right. Like, when I eat healthy, it's rewarding to me. Yeah. Like, sipping a coffee with like 6 or 7 different healthy, you know, things that I threw in there. I threw in some turmeric, some raw butter, which also known as ghee, Ghee, some organic extra virgin coconut oil. I put in, I know, I'm nuts. I put in some shilajit, which is a black resin that takes thousands of years, that in the Himalayan mountains, in between the rocks, there's this resin that's full of all types of minerals and fulvic acid that solidifies in between the rocks and turns to like this globally resin. Really? And they literally take that and use it as a substance, you know, although I'm putting in my coffee while I'm consuming it right now.
And it's supposed to do what for you?
Well, the mineral content, which I'm a huge advocate of minerals. I favor minerals even over vitamins. The best way for me to describe it, I look at it in a layman's sense. Vitamins are kind of like the beach mussels, and then your minerals are kind of like the little tiny muscles and tendons behind the scenes that makes the beach muscles stand out and stay compact and formulate together. So your minerals, that's what gives that electroconductive response in the body. That's what keeps things, you know, moving and flowing and not coagulating, you know, and where you're getting the blood circulating and everything's functioning the way that it's primed and ready to do so for.
Now, do you have a lot of your friends that are on the same kind of journey with you? Do you feel like you're isolated on this journey by yourself?
Oh yeah, man. I'm a one man gang. I'm a lone wolf. You know, I've experienced different modalities of life. I've lived in the mountains. I lived in the city. I grew up in the suburbs. I've been around, and this is all me.
Would you say that you're kind of nomadic in a way, like kind of like you like to move from spot to spot? Or?
Yeah, I do it because I like to get a taste of variety. I like the experience. Like,
now, are you one of those kind of people that are like, look, I want to wake up, hop on a train, and end up in San Diego? Are you one of them kind of people?
Nah, I'm not that spontaneous.
More thought out?
I will think things out.
All right.
Like if I don't know, like I like to take hiking excursions every now and then. If I'm going hiking, you know, I got to dot my I's and cross my T's. I'm out in the wilderness, you know. No one's going to save myself except me, you know. So I'll make sure I have, you know, the proper hydration, my water, you know, I'll make sure I have enough food, snacks, you know, some fruit, whatever, extra clothes or a towel or something along those lines. So I make sure I prepare myself in advance before, you know, going and jumping into the fire. Right. But,
you're a big camper? You like to camp, or?
I love camping. I haven't been camping in years. It's just being a lone wolf and doing my own thing. I haven't gotten around to it. I've gone on hiking excursions. Like, for example, I took a 2-day trip one time to Virginia, and I hiked the Shenandoah Mountains. And but that was, I ended up staying in a hotel, so,
Yeah.
You gotta take what's given to you sometimes,
Glamping.
Yeah, I'll pay an extra few bucks for the nicer service,
You had a little glamp in there, but
no, I still, I like to find a nice little balance.
Yeah,
I'm a nature guy, but I still respect the values of technology and the finer, qualities of life.
yeah. But I hear you say a lot that you're a lone wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why? That's a direct question. Why?
That's a good question.
Do you think that your peace is more protected because you're alone, or do you try to get too many people to eat chia seeds and stuff?
I'm on this deep search. I don't know how to summarize. I guess summarizing it would be I'm on a deep search for the soul.
Right.
Whatever that means. That's to each their own type of answer or response. But
right.
I'm a soul guy. I've tapped into what I believe to be the spiritual path about 6 or 7 years ago, which did include a mushroom trip.
Right.
But even prior to that, I always was fascinated, with nature, fascinated with the earth and connecting with animals and connecting with the planet, and that always brought me peace and tranquility.
Excuse me. We have a guy out there that's waiting for me. His name is Bill. Can you just tell Bill that we're back here? Dang, sorry about that.
No.
The business never ends. So, I hear you talking. But what if you found the woman counterpart? The Mrs.
I'm still waiting, man.
Yeah.
I would love
because they're out there. They're out there. I know. I'm on Facebook or Instagram with a lot of women that are hiking every day.
Yeah.
Their diet's all right.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get on a healthy dating service or something for health
spiritual mingle or something.
Yeah. But you mentioned before we talk about your trip. I want to talk about your knowledge and your spirituality, because I instantly thought, man, this guy should be selling this. This should be a business. This should be something where people are coming to you for lifestyle tips, because I know that there's a big market for it.
Yeah, there is.
I would pay for a seminar and probably waste my money, because as soon as I drive past the McDonald's, my issue is because since 8 years old, running, lifting weights, boxing 3 times a day, most of the time eating the right food. Now that I'm retired, I'm like, I'm ready to eat steak. I'll have one tonight. Drink a glass of wine. I can't 100% commit back to it, but if there was a Sabia fruit stand or internet chat room that I could go to and talk to you, maybe I'd have some guidance. You ever think about that?
I've thought about that. I've thought about different business ideas. Sometimes I feel like I tend to psych myself out, or I feel like I have to know it all, which I know is not a progressive way to go about things. But I still I love being the student, and I love learning from others.
But not to interrupt you.
Yeah.
You talk about that layer approach. It's the same thing in business. I'm learning on the job. I have a GED. I never went to business school or anything. And I am, to me, right now, I'm on top of my game. You can do it, man.
Yeah.
You just got to start that first step.
You just got to take that. Yeah, nah, you're right. Nah, there's no denying that. Yeah. I'm not going to shy away from that. You're absolutely correct. Yeah. I feel like I'm slowly budding in that direction. I do personally feel that there are a few more things that I personally wish to experience and go through.
Yeah.
Since the pandemic, the last couple of years have been a huge growth spurt for me personally in my life. Just certain basic fundamentals, whether it's just establishing quality credit or learning how to get really good at saving money. Yeah. Those are baseline things that maybe I didn't. You say I was maybe I was a late bloomer too.
Yeah. You're not the only one.
So there's certain things that I figured out in the last couple of years that I feel like are somewhat of a safety net, maybe in terms of my ego or my mind and how it functions, to kind of make me feel safer taking that first step and getting in that direction.
Just a little bit of advice. It's something about starting something like a business that makes you get there a little bit faster because you have to. Before I opened this place, my phone probably rung, 2 times every 3 days or whatever. As soon as I said that I was opening up this place, it's nonstop, and there's people that you don't want to let down. Things that push
a lot of pressure.
Yeah, but it's also good pressure. It makes that ball start rolling, and then eventually you can't stop it. You can do it. People should be around here smelling like patchouli. They should be, man. They should be around here knowing what ingredients are in their food because you're the one that told them. Just put that in your head, man. And you got the personality, to do it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Coming from a businessman, a successful businessman, I appreciate that. So thank you for that.
Almost successful. Well, so let's talk about this trip, man.
Okay. So
let's talk about this trip because I have never done a hallucinogenic. I can't even say the word. How do you say it? Psilocybin. Psilocybin. I say I can't say it. But it's something that intrigues me because I have watched documentaries. I've listened to professors talk about it, how it could benefit people. I've heard other regular people talk about how it changed their lives. So I'm interested to tell us how it came about, your first trip.
So I tripped mushrooms, I want to say about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 7, give or take. I was in about my early, mid-20s. And I don't know, I feel like I was just at like a crossroads in my life where, I feel like certain things were missing. And I wanted to experience things and kind of come to a higher understanding of some sort. And after communicating with a friend, who had mentioned to me on a couple occasions about psilocybin mushrooms and him breaking it down and explaining it to me, I decided to take a chance and see what it was worth. I did a little bit of research prior to it, and I was trying to connect some dots on my own. And, there was a mixed bag, especially going back, 6-7 years ago, give or take. And where we're at currently right now, like things have completely changed since then.
As
far as the education process of people being in,
more accepted.
Yeah, exactly. So when I did it, one day. I actually did it in the Pine Barrens in New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to do it in nature, kind of secluded. And it really worked out that way. Because I feel like when it comes to something like a psilocybin mushroom experience, it's a very intrinsic experience. And I know some people say, they see geometric shapes and patterns, which I did, and if you're seeing geometric shapes and patterns, you're in there, you're doing the right thing, but it's an internal experience. It's something that has to be felt. And even me explaining it right now doesn't give it justice.
Right.
But I'll try to explain it the best way I can. But it really, in a very intrinsic, intuitive level, it allowed me to go within and reflect and feel things that on a subconscious level, was there, but conscientiously I wasn't too mindful or aware of. So, being a guy who's very spiritual minded and is about connecting with the soul,
right.
That meant something profound to me, and it was more profound than anything I had experienced up to date in my life. And it was like diving into the deep abyss of like this, this giant well where, I don't know, I won't even use the well. I'll use an iceberg example. Like you look at like an iceberg, you see only like 10-15% of it floating up top. And then you have all this stuff going on down under.
Yeah.
To me, I look at that as the conscious mind versus the subconscious and superconscious mind. So it allowed me to peel back those layers and tap into portions of my subconscious and superconscious mind that, again, I wasn't experiencing or wasn't made aware of.
Right.
It allowed me to go through certain experiences in my life and some of it felt good initially, and some of it didn't feel so good initially. Like, for example, there were a couple times in my trip where I cried. I cried over things that, hit me deep emotionally, that were traumatic to me. But it was beautiful because, it allowed me to make amends and find peace with certain aspects. Or at the very least, peel back more layers of that trauma that I had experienced to find a sense of ease with it and a sense of gratitude about it. That's why I look at like emotions. I look at it like the weather. Some days are sunny, some days, it's raining, it's windy, whatever. And we need to be able to experience those emotions full spectrum.
Yeah.
We live in a society that's, I'm getting a little aggressive here, but is hell-bent on trying to smile all the time and stay positive and everything's A-okay and I'm just fine. Like, how many people you see, and 9 out of 10 times, if not more, hey, how you doing? I'm doing all right. Doing good. I'm doing fine. It's like, but what's really going on beyond that? Now, I know, we can't sit here and just be, I'm actually going through this, and I have this going on. Like, we all got a lot on our plate. We're trying to go through things. Yeah. But we had this tendency through the function of our society to deny or suppress or withhold or retain and hold on to these emotions. So back to the psilocybin experience, the psychedelic mushroom experience, I was able to peel back some of those layers and tap into some of those emotions and transcend them and I guess you could say alchemize them, turn a negative into a positive.
Right.
So yeah, I came out of those experiences with less baggage on my shoulders.
Right. And I hear a lot of people say that, and one of the things that I found when I was doing research was a study where they gave psilocybin, I'm just gonna say acid, to cancer patients, and these were cancer patients who were really having a hard time, anxiety, depression, dealing with having cancer. And what the study did was it had them go under, but it also had a psychiatrist there with them, telling them to go and find and look at the cancer in their body while they're tripping. And what happened was, once those people came out of their trip, their anxiety was reduced, their depression was reduced. Some of the patients even physically got better from cancer after this acid trip. And I always found that pretty funny. Not funny.
Well, make sure you're separating the two between acid and psilocybin.
Well,
it was both, or
I think it was mushrooms, I believe.
Okay.
I kind of said acid by accident.
The only reason I just had to point that out is because personally, I'm not a fan of acid. It's a man-made substance, so it's like a kind of rule of thumb that I go off of. But based upon, I've microdosed with acid before, and I've microdosed and then obviously had full-on trips, with psilocybin mushrooms. And personally, I feel like they're two different things. I feel like I don't want to bash acid because I know it has worked for some people, as you're explaining.
Yeah. Well, I truly believe that was mushrooms.
It was okay. Because I know when you look at like a brain scan, you look at the mental stimulation and the brain activity of like a psilocybin experience versus acid. Mushroom experience, you're getting different things are lighting up in your brain that usually aren't. And it is connecting, new neural pathways and stimulating neurogenesis. Which is funny because it's actually the opposite of what they told you growing up. Oh, it's going to rot your brain, or it's going to turn your brain to mush. It's actually scientifically showing that it's stimulating neurogenesis and creating neural pathways that help strengthen the synapses in your mind, so that you're able to see things from a broader perspective. But acid, though, if you look at the brain scan, almost everything's lit up. Yeah. So it's almost like acid scares me a little bit because it's almost like a computer overstimulating itself. Right. And I believe that if used incorrectly or depending on the person's individual neurochemistry, that it could overexcite the brain and kind of like sputter it out of control a little bit. So,
what do you think about people that have bad trips? How does that occur?
To me, a bad trip is either one of two things predominantly. It's one, the set and setting. Well, actually, no, three things. The setting. Two, who you're doing it with and who's around you. And 3, this is the biggest one, one's ego. Because if you're tapping into the subconscious mind, you're tapping into emotions that you're not accustomed to feeling or seeing through to. You are going to be dealt with some obstacles from an egoic standpoint.
And everybody says that. How do you get there? How does it get you to that point? I don't, like, we're here. I'm like, I have things that I have to deal with, and I just can't get upset over them.
Yeah.
How does the mushroom get you to that point? You don't know.
This
It
is
wakes
soul
you
level
up.
stuff.
It just wakes you up.
A mushroom experience, to me, solidifies my rational knowing that the soul exists, and that maybe science can't quite quantify it, especially reductionist science. But it's there. It's well and alive. I mean, our cells, everything. I mean, even our physical being, like, our energy extends outside of our physical body. You know, I know our heart, the magnetization of our heart, protrudes, I believe, like 3 to 6 feet, if not more, depending on the individual person, outside of our body. So we have electrical, energetic frequency things going on all throughout. That's not just physical. There's a reason why when someone walks into a room, how like a light might switch on and off, depending on your mood and how you perceive things. Yeah. That's real stuff.
I was thinking a lot of, Tai Chi and everything is about, finding your chi and finding that your center of energy. You might not necessarily be able to see that energy, but you can use it in combat sports.
Yeah.
That sounds like something similar to that. I just always been fascinated about the trip, and because to be honest with you, I've never done anything except smoke pot.
Yeah.
But I just don't have the right situation. I have a lake spot though, where I could go right on the water.
That's the spot to do it at.
But I have children. I have a girlfriend. I probably wouldn't want her to be there.
No.
So go through the proper scenario so you don't have that bad trip that we just talked about. Well, it's not the proper, but what you would consider, a good situation.
My best advice if someone's going to trip is to do it, especially if it's your first time. Have one person.
Is that the right way to say? Is it tripping? Is that what that?
People know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
When we say trip, hallucinate, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a chemical experience,
right.
That excites certain things. But the best way that I would advise it would be to do it again if it's your first time with just one person that you genuinely trust, whoever you trust the most or is high ranking, in trust. Have that person kind of watch over you, almost be like a mini amateur shaman of sorts, just to watch over you and guide you.
Right.
Particularly, I would advise someone who's done it before.
Right.
So, because if you've experienced it, it's kind of like being in the ring, boxing. Like, you get these, if you're watching someone sparring, because you've been there, done that.
You had details.
You can, and you might not be able to depict it rationally, where you can sit there and dissect it word for word and put it all out there, verbally. But you get a feel because you've been there, done that.
Yeah.
You know the rhythm of the flow. So someone who's experienced it, they have this intuitive notion going on where they know what to expect and they know how to allow someone to be. I've watched over a few people that have tripped before, and the main thing was just letting them be. Allowing them to experience what they need to experience. If they asked for help or needed something, just kind of pat them on the back and, whatever they needed. They needed a glass of water. They needed me to stay in the room. They needed me to leave the room, whatever it was, and just allow them to go into that tunnel of theirs where it's just them.
So you really have to experience it because I keep hearing you say that. I hear other people say that, and I'm still like, no, what the fuck they're talking?
Yeah,
like I know what you're talking about, but how do I get there?
This advocates my belief into how we put so much pressure and we put so much focus on the rational, reductionist way of assessing life. And it's crazy to me, people are afraid to believe in certain things that supersede beyond the rational interpretation. It's this, it's the ego. It's what it is.
And not just that though. A lot of it is political. A lot of it is the way that we were taught. Things like, for instance, soap. Okay, bar soap was only made World War II. Before that, people didn't take showers every day, and World War II was when 30, 40,
less than 100 years ago.
And they commercialized soap and made it so that if you didn't use it every day, that you were dirty. You know. But before, so
you just open up a can of worms. There's a lot of things.
No, I know.
There's a lot of things we do that are normalized that we just accept because it became a normal aspect of a functioning society.
Same thing with mushrooms. Same thing with pot. You know. If your grandparents said that acid was gonna fucking make you jump out of a window, then of course that's what you're gonna believe.
Yeah, you wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole, just from that, understanding. But yeah, it's funny because I even had a conversation earlier this morning, a couple family members regarding raw milk and like the pasteurization method and how that completely got befuddled and how we interpret the average person. We see raw milk as like this thing that we have to stay away from. If we drink it, we're gonna get sick. Like, oh no, I gotta stay away.
Like straight from the cow.
Yeah. Like I go where I get my water from. I go to it's called Birchwood Farms, and I go there and they sell raw milk. I have raw milk sitting in my refrigerator right now. Now I try to limit my dairy intake. Dairy for the most part can be acidic on the body. But if you are going to consume it, the best way would be to consume it in its raw form. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because in the last 100 or so years, this stigma, this false, half-witted stigma of, we need to pasteurize the milk, we need to kill off the bad bacteria. It's like, by killing off the bad bacteria and heating the milk, you're also killing off the good bacteria. You're also killing off the enzyme content, which helps to break down, everything that's in the milk, on top of all the nutrients, the vitamins and the minerals that come with it.
So is that why I'm lactose intolerant?
Well, it's funny because lactose intolerance didn't become an actual label or an actual issue until they started pasteurizing milk.
They're killing me.
Yeah.
They're killing me. I can't even have ice cream.
It's funny because, and I explain it like this. So in the late 1800s, early 1900s, you had settlers and a bunch of people coming over to America. Now, take something like in New York City, for example. You're getting all these Europeans, all these people from all different types, locations, all different ecosystems and environments, coming to a place like New York City. And they're all bunched up and cooped up. Yeah. And everyone's in survival mode, trying to make a quick dollar. Well, these animals are taken out of their natural habitat. Psychologically, mentally, emotionally, that's going to affect them.
They're stressed.
And so, you have a stressed, depressed animal. And then on top of that, they're not being fed the same food. They're not, grass grazing and being fed what they're accustomed to being fed. So whatever they're being fed, it's not, a natural element. It's not a natural conduction of the way, Mother Nature operates. And then on top of that, even worse, what some people were doing because they were so desperate, they were having cows that were producing soured, porous milk. Some of it was even blue, like this bluish milk. And what they would do, some of these people, they would take like a chalky-like substance that was white, and they would mix it in the milk. So that at a first glance, look at it, it looks the same. And then people would drink it, it was rancid, obviously, and get sick. So a lot of people were getting sick off of unhealthy cows and other mechanisms, that, were just creating more disturbances. So they came up, Louis Pasteur came up with this method, the pasteurization method, to heat the milk. And in the short term, it worked. Also, it gives milk a longer shelf life. Yeah. So it's more profitable. So because it was more profitable, it kind of stuck. Yeah. And then there was essentially, in a nutshell, do enough research, there was a smear campaign against, unpasteurized raw milk because of the shelf life and sustainability in the long run, with the pasteurized milk. So long story short, the reason I bring all that up again, raw milk, if you're going to consume dairy, you want to consume it in its raw form. Mm-hmm. Again, it's not going to have as long of a shelf life, but it's a lot more nutrient dense. It's a lot more bioavailable, and it's better for the body. Yeah.
So you think that I have to drink lactose-free milk now? Mm-hmm. You think raw milk would still affect my?
I could almost guarantee you, without being a doctor, that it would definitely help you. At the very most, sipping it a little bit in the beginning might cause slight stomach discomfort. Well, that's only because you're integrating new forms of bacteria into your body that you're not accustomed to. So anytime your body comes into contact with anything that it's not used to, that's not a part of its cellular activity, your natural defense mechanism, when it takes it in, is like, oh, hold up, what's this? Like, is he on the VIP list? Can we get access through here? Like, I don't know. All right, let's see how he plays with the other people. Let's see how, in terms of your cellular interactions. So you might feel a little sick.
Milk is never invited to the club. Milk is never invited to the club. But I heard you talk about, stressed animals as well. Are you a vegetarian?
No, I personally am an advocate of meat, particularly if it's coming from, grass-fed, farm raised, if it's an ethical source. I'm a fan of like wild game meat. This is the thing, I know it's a touchy subject, and I know that at a first glance, like veganism and vegetarianism, seems like the more ethical, advanced way to go. And I'm not saying it is or it isn't. Just from my personal experiences, though, I feel better when I consume and integrate some form of meat. It has to be quality meat. Because if I'm not eating quality meat, it affects me. It gives me brain fog. It affects my energy levels.
Eat a cheeseburger from McDonald's, and it doesn't matter even if you're already not healthy. It still makes you feel like crap.
It makes a difference. So the quality of the food. This is something else I want to throw out too. Again, going back to the soul. I believe the more soul conscientious one becomes, the more it affects things that lower your vibratory field. You feel it more intensely. So there may have been a time, say 10 years ago, before I had my mushroom experience, before I started interacting again with nature and going on hikes, before I started questioning, where I could have eaten McDonald's and conscientiously I wouldn't have felt the effects as much. But because I made it conscious to my perception of reality, and because I brought it to my visual awareness, it affects me that much more. So the more aware you become of things, whether it's a placebo effect because as a result of making it conscious, or whether it's a reality or whatever, it does affect you.
And that makes me, because for religious reasons, I don't eat pork. And that's nothing for me tonight, and I hear people that I know like, oh, how can you not eat this? It's just the way I've been living my whole life, so it's easier that way. So you got to create them habits, I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool. So we've been here for almost an hour.
Nice.
My next guest is actually waiting for us. So I think that we should come back, talk about more drugs, talk about more food choices, and talk about your new business, Sabia Wholesale Foods, Whole Foods.
I got a whole lot more to talk about.
Yeah, definitely.
I really am grateful for being here. I'm grateful for you, allowing me to be on your podcast. This is something I've always wanted to do. And you talk about business. I mean, just being on a podcast for the first time excites me and stimulates me to want to be not just on your podcast, but as many other podcasts as I can possibly get my hands on. So
maybe we'll get you a manager or something.
Who knows,
get you booked. But this is your chance in the show to spread your message out to the world. All right, so I'm going to give you the microphone.
Okay.
And I like to put people. You're right over here. I like to put people on the spot at the end and say, look, this is your chance to spread your energy out to the world and let other people hear your message.
Love yourself. Take care of yourself. They go hand in hand. Understand that when you take better care of your health, everything's going to operate better and more fluently in your life. Regardless of how much income you make, regardless of your life circumstances, regardless of where you're at, when you take better care of your mind, body, and spirit, things will elevate in your favor. And regardless, again, of your circumstances, at the very least, it will take a damper off of your circumstances. In this case, I'm saying if you're stressful, or in a stressful predicament, or you're experiencing depression, or you're in a dark time in your life, you don't know where to go, et cetera, et cetera. The least we can do is love ourselves. And I believe that self-love, starts with the appreciation of eating healthy. Yeah. And if you're struggling to do that, start with the basics. Don't get too lost and caught up with, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, and I have to do this. Break it down, simplify it. Like Tim mentioned about starting your own business. Step by step, piece by piece. And don't overwhelm yourself. Even we're in a gym, in the back of a gym. If you're exercising, you're working out. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't compete with anybody. Don't even try to compete with yourself. Just do what feels right and follow that. Follow that instinct. And I believe that instinct is some soul level stuff that we have yet to reductionistly figure out. And keep following that. Keep searching for that. Keep digging for that. And I believe that will pave the way towards a better life regardless.
All right, man. That's a great message. You don't seem like the kind of person that has social media. Do you?
A little bit of Facebook, but that's about it.
If you want to get in contact with Josh, hit him up at Josh Sabia on Facebook. Mm-hmm. You'll see that beard and maybe some hair.
Yeah.
All right, that's this episode of the Young Black Suburban. Guest Josh Sabia. We'll see you guys.